Programang ito ay rated SPG, striktong patnubay at gabay ng magulang ang kailangan. Maaaring may masiselang tema, lengguwahe, karahasan, sexual, horror o droga na hindi angkop sa mga bata.
Warning. The following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Of the freakiest real-life haunted house stories you'll ever hear. Fair warning, reading this collection of scary haunted house stories in the dark or by yourself is likely to keep you all night, as surely the case for me. Or the very least send a chill down your spine, even if you consider yourself bravest of the brave. Oh, is that challenge? Why yes, it is. Without further ado, we invite you to read about the following 18 of the scariest real-life haunted stories from the creepiest places around the country. In case you're feeling really fearless and ready to get freaky, you can actually book a stay at most of these places and greet the ghosts yourself. So happy huntings ahead. Number 1. The Lamp Mansion, St. Louis, Missouri. Starting strong with a very scary house, the Lamp Mansion in St. Louis, which is known to be one of the most haunted places in America due to tragic history. The 33-room home was built in 1860 by William Lamp, a successful brewery owner who ended up killing himself in 1904 after the youngest of his 4 sons, Frederick, died. A few years later, his wife also died of cancer in the house. Then, in 1922, William Lamp Jr. shot himself in the same room William Sr. killed himself. As if weren't enough tragedy for one place, in 1949, Charles Lamp, William's third son, shot his dog in the basement of the home and then killed himself in his room that same year. The house was sold and transformed into a boarding house where reports of hauntings began. According to Destination America, witnesses have experienced burning sensations and slamming doors. Today, the Lamp Mansion is a restaurant and inn that also holds events. On Sunday night, the inn hosts a murder mystery dinner. Number 2. Basilica Axe Murder House in Basilica, Iowa. In June 10, 1912, Josiah and Sarah Moore were bludgeoned to death inside their home in Basilica, Iowa. Their 4 children and 2 friends who were spending the night were also killed, and to this day, the crime remains unsolved. Their home is considered one of the most haunted places in the country, and guests are drawn to it. People even pay $400 plus stay for one night. Tours had been cut short by children's voices, falling lamps, moving ladders, and flying objects, says the Basilica Axe Murder House website. And in 2014, a paranormal investigator stabbed himself after spending the night. Skeptics have left believers, adds the website. Number 3. John Harlow House in Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles is one of the best destinations of haunted house hunting, and in the Bavarian-style home in Beverly Hills has particular gruesome history. In 1932, it was home to the iconic actress John Harlow and her abusive husband Paul Byrne, who shot himself in the head while standing in front of the mirror. Their butler discovered him and called NGM instead of the police, so there were tons of rumors that it wasn't actually suicide. Many suspected Byrne's ex-girlfriend, a suspicion exacerbated by her jumping off the boat to her death a couple days later. John moved out of his death but died only a few years later at the age of 26. But wait, it gets creepier. In 1963, celebrity hairstylist Jay Sebring bought the home and lived there with his girlfriend Sharon Tate until she left him for Roman Polanski. They were still friends and remained so until both of them were murdered by Charles Manson cult. Tate was the same age as Harlow when she passed. But back to when the couple lived in the Harlow house. Tate told several friends of creepy occurrences in the home and even mentioned it in interviews. For example, when she was sleeping in the master's bedroom alone, she saw a creepy little man. Her friends say she believed it to be Paul Byrne's ghost. She was so freaked out when she saw the alleged ghost that she ran out of the room and then saw a hanging, shadowy corpse with its throat slit in the hallway. There are also stories about 2 other people dying in the swimming pool over the years. Number 4. SK Pier House. Massachusetts has no shortage of haunted mansions, it seems, and the SK Pierce Victorian is one of the state's earliest. The original occupant, Sylvester Pierce, has just started making his fortune in the furniture business when he built his home for himself and his son and his wife Susan. As man about town, he hosted many notable people in his 7,000 square foot home throughout the years, including President Calvin Coolidge, Bette Davis, and Norman Rockwell. Only a week after moving into the home, Susan fell ill and passed away from a mysterious bacterial disease. A year later, he remarried Ellen, a woman 30 years his junior, and had 2 more children. Years later, when both Sylvester and Ellen passed away, his son embarked on a fiery feud about the property as well as the furniture company. But the Great Depression swept in and made their choices easier since the company basically went bankrupt. The youngest son, Edward, was given control of the home when he returned into a boarding house. It became a hotspot for illicit activities, including the murders and sudden tragic deaths of several occupants. According to local lore, as a result of these violent ends, guests have reported every kind of haunting imaginable, from visions of apparitions to flying objects, disembodied sounds, pressure, temperature drops, and more. Number 5. Madhouse Mansion. Located in Fairfield County, Ohio, until recently, the Madhouse Mansion has a bad reputation. Nobody can seem to agree on when it was built, but it dates back sometime between 1840s and 1900s. Unlike the other abandoned mansion on the list, you sadly can no longer visit it, as the home was demolished in 2015 after not being occupied since the 1930s. The last resident, at least legally speaking, was Lulu Hartman Mast, and the current owner of the property is her relative Jean Mast. Because there is so little information about who lived here and when, and because abandoned places tend to ignite the dark side of imagination, there are tons of legends around alleged atrocities occurring and consequent hauntings. The sources don't seem to be very credible though. Number 6. 455A Sackett Street. You never hear so much about haunted apartments as haunted houses, which is strange considering that apartments have much more turnover and therefore a higher likelihood of something or someone evil having lived there before you move in. That was definitely the case of the 455A Sackett Street in Brooklyn, New York. One woman who grew up when there writes about her first-hand experiences, including unexplained fires, seriously bad energy, family tragedies, personal sufferings, and her skicker, the body of a child discovered on the wall after several suspicious sightings of a similar-looking shadow child in the mirror. You can read the full account here, as well as commenters who live there and corroborate these claims. I'll definitely not be requesting an in-person viewing for this place, private balcony or not, if the address ever pops back up on my Street Easy feed.